We have a disturbing incident that took place in Alaska earlier this month as a father named McDonald was silenced at a school board meeting for speaking up against the absolute filth that were in many of the library books that were available to his children. One book, I can't even believe this, but they had advice for how students could text pornographic photos of themselves to their friends. This is a book for children. But as Jay McDonald notes, he was speaking out against more than just one specific book. He was speaking out literally against a culture of gender theory that's being pushed on all the children in the district. And I'm honored now to be joining me from Alaska to discuss this, the father himself, Jay McDonald. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Washington Watch.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So, did
Well,
you have
it's a
like a
pleasure.
specific question or?
Yeah, I guess just to start off, how in the world can these schools even begin to defend the material that are in the libraries here? It's too embarrassing to even repeat some of this stuff in a public forum with adults, let alone enabling children to have access to these things.
Yeah, so I'll tell you. So what I've been doing, I'm not editorial. I'm trying to editorialize as little as possible when I read these books, because the most important audience is the people that don't necessarily agree with me. And what I've been doing is I'm just reading the book in context without editing or changing it. And they've been really upset that I'm doing that. And I go and I read a different book every time. So first people were telling me that this isn't real. So I started reading the books to show that like this material does exist and this is what it looks like. And then they started telling me, well, those books they're old and they're missing and they're not even in the library anymore. So I read a book that's brand new on order, which is the one that you guys were talking about that you had seen. It just showed up in the library. And then so they say, well, the kids never saw that book. So I read a book that has been checked out some 45 times by kids. And they say, well, they're just in the library and they're not actual curriculum. So I've FOIA'd documents, and I've got documents showing that they've been using some of these books that are just as graphic and disturbing as they're on the reading list for English classes. It's not even a sex ed class, it's an English class where these books were read. And that's what I turned up with FOIA documents. I can only see maybe 0.5% of what's out there using the FOIA process because it's very difficult to actually produce evidence through that. And the school board never acknowledged the things that I turned up with the FOIA. They're still totally silent on that, and they're not willing to speak to it. The
Jay,
only thing that they, oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, look, a couple of things. First of all, I just want to say thank you for taking a stand and for taking this awareness to the public and for taking it straight to the school board. Many of them perhaps know about this stuff. Some of them perhaps do not. But nothing happens until people like yourself stand up and get involved in this. So first of all, thank you for that. But I also want to say this, and if we can segue a little bit into this, your argument and what you are bringing to the light is not just simply about books. You are highlighting a larger issue, a culture that is involved in the schools. Explain a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah, so the books, if I tell people point blank what's going on, first off, it makes you sound crazy because what they're doing is so extreme that people don't want to believe that it's true. And then secondly, like you have to have the hard receipts to show them how serious this is. So the books are just a tool to show people that this is real and how extreme the problem is. But the books, in reality, the books are just a very small periphery portion of the overall agenda. A few years ago, our school board was taken over by some really extreme and radical people led by the unofficial president of the school board. Her name is Margot Bellamy, and some NEA influences behind the scenes. And what they're doing is they're pushing the gender stuff on kids starting in elementary school, and they get them confused, and they encourage the kids to experiment and to change their gender identity. And by the time they get up to middle and high school, they've actually begun to transition the kids in school they're giving them alternate names, alternate pronouns, gender identities, and they're doing all these things with the kids, and they're hiding it from the parents. And they're not just not informing the parents, they're taking steps proactively to make sure that the parents don't find out about it. I have all
Yeah.
of the evidence that they're doing that. They actually have a gender transition contract posted. It's hidden kind of in an odd page on the Anchorage School District website. Anybody can pull it up right now. And they've got on this contract at the bottom of it, it has a signature block for the kid to sign it and the principal. And there's no parent or guardian signature on it. Like, it's pretty clear what they're doing.
Well, Jay, I've got another guest I want to get to go into this and some other issues happening around the country. But again, hats off to you for making a stand. We are really seemingly coming into an era where some of these school boards believe they know better than parents themselves. And so thank you for taking a stand, and thank you for joining us this evening on Washington Watch.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope that people think, if this is in Alaska, then it's everywhere, because it is. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.